What's up, good people? Back with the business breakthrough. Joseph Fry, second time around. Usually they don't come back a second time, man. So there must be some good news, man. Let's hear it. What's been going on since last time we spoke?
Yeah. Um,
He's
well,
smiling, people. He's smiling. There's some good. There's some blessings. Go ahead. I want to hear it.
yeah, no, God is good. Um, yeah, so business is going well. Growing pains as well. But it's been really good. Just a little bit of background. So I kind of grew up just doing like landscaping, like entrepreneurship bug hit me when I was really young.
Yeah, mowing the lawns, man.
Yep. Yeah, and then I was like a project manager for a custom home building company and just couldn't wait to get back out and do my own thing. So started a painting business about 7 months ago. Um, and it's been going good. So I worked really hard to get out of the field. So I think it was just 3 weeks ago that I like put down the brush for the last time. Told my project manager I was out of the field. So it's been going good. Just doing a lot of marketing and
Okay.
sales. Um,
Was it as
with,
scary as you thought?
it's a good question. I think that like delegation.
Especially with a name like Perfect Painting. Like that's a bold statement, brother.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I think delegation doesn't come super naturally to me. Like I love to like give people like work to do, but I still want it done like perfectly, if you will.
Yeah.
That's one of my big questions. Is kind of how to delegate from afar and like still
Yeah.
inspire people and like what does that look like to be like a really good leader, but not be with them like working on the tools day to day.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. And yeah, so also sales. I really want to take my sales to the next level.
Okay.
I think I'm like a nice guy and I like people, and so I kind of just wing sales and like sometimes they
Hope
work
that
out.
they hope that they like you too, and then
Yeah. And then I'm realizing like, oh man, I'm not like structuring this like offer very well, or like
sure.
they're just like, objections I'm not able to overcome. So I'd
Okay.
love to know like how do I take my sales to the next level
Yeah.
and really
Good stuff,
level up.
man. Yeah. So help me understand like what sales look like on a monthly basis. Like what are you selling? How many jobs are you like? How many jobs can you guys produce in a month? Like what does that look like?
Yeah, so we are producing um, about 15 jobs a month.
Okay. It's about
Um,
30K a month, 30
yeah,
40K.
yeah.
Okay.
Uh, 15 jobs a month. Average job size is right around 2,500.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so our marketing has been really good, just giving us lots of leads. I'd like to
Who's doing
double
your
my.
marketing?
Sorry,
Who's doing the marketing?
Brandon Pierpont.
Nice.
So,
Okay, good. So you're getting a lot of leads. Happy with it?
happy with it. I think it could be a lot more optimized, and I'd like to. I'm just gonna like
Sure.
double my ad
Where are
spend
the
and
majority of your leads coming from? Facebook or Google?
Facebook meta ads.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Okay, cool. So you got some things in place there. So let's kind of like break down like the first part of what you said was delegation. You good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the team structure look like? What do you got? Who's on the
Right. So
roster?
we've got three like full time W-2 employees.
Okay.
One of them is my younger brother, and it's just really
Good
good.
good
Like
working relationship between you and bro?
super good. Yeah, he's like super hardworking, really charismatic, and just likes people, and he likes to work hard. Like
Does he
he's
like you?
an employee. So he's really awesome. And then he's working with a married couple, and they work for me, and they're just
Okay.
like dozens of years of experience, and they're the sweetest people ever. Okay, so those are the three employees, and then I've got a project manager. His name, he's like super good, really knowledgeable in the industry.
Okay.
He's not a painter, but I didn't hire him to paint. And then I've got a subcontracting crew of like five.
Okay.
Um, we keep them pretty busy. So
Okay. So we've got two kind of like two crews running at the same time.
yeah, and I'm
Do you
not super
feel
in subcontracting. I really am excited about the W-2. I'm just kind of running both right now, hoping to
I don't
go
blame you.
W's.
Well, I think when you asked that question of how do I inspire and lead, you weren't really thinking of the subcontractor crew. You're thinking about your employees. So it's a two pronged approach, right? So like, well, the first thing you should ask yourself is like, what would inspire you? Like that's a great place to start. So like, if you and you want to consider that at each stage or each level of the roles within your business, right? So like, although it's your brother, like his role is what? Like what's his title?
Um, just entry level
Okay.
apprentice.
So there's the first problem is inspiration generally comes with progress, right? In other words, in some area, whether it's personal or it's work progress, right? So, you want to leverage those things because an inspiring leader is someone that creates inspiration to either pursue personal growth or to develop personal growth within the business, right? Like that's inspiration, right? Like in other words, if you're inspired by someone, they've put something within you and helped you grow. Like that's generally speaking what that is. And the first problem that I'm seeing is that clearly established roles and responsibilities need to be um, important to you because again, if we're gonna leverage progress as a form of inspiration, then how can someone progress within your company if they don't know what the next level is?
Mm,
You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? So
that's really good.
that's very important. Now, even though now one of the challenges is your brother, right? Like that's a challenge, whether you like it or not. It's not some guy that came off the street that you hired and nurtured from a seed and he blossomed into he can spray glass. Like that's not the case right now. But what it is he's a good placeholder. And this might sound silly to you, but it requires a form of a meeting. Like you guys got to shut off the brother switch, have the lunch, sit down and establish what a roadmap is for him. And if you can do that with him, you can do it with anyone, which is going to be harder to do with him because he's your brother, right? So I think that's step one. Now you have a married couple. They actually are like one unit, which is hard. So you've kind of positioned yourself in a way that makes establishing roles kind of tricky. But I will say that if I stepped on the job site, I'm pretty sure that I would identify who the leader is. So who's the leader of those three?
Uh, the married man.
The husband.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What's his role in the company? Just say
Um,
it. Just say it. Get it
crew leader.
out.
He's a crew
Does
leader.
he know that?
No.
Okay, this is why you're here. Get it out, say it. It sucks, but just say it so you can remember the feeling of not having an established role within your company.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that again, once again, is that if he doesn't know the role, then really also on top of that, a role means responsibility. And the key component of delegation is you're actually delegating responsibility. You're giving someone else the responsibility. There was a time in DripJobs where at 1 a.m. I would respond to people telling me that there were bugs and issues and they couldn't send their proposal and customers freaking out because they're getting like 50 drip messages. I delegated that responsibility to someone else. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I no
Yeah.
longer take that. Now your job is support level one, right? Like support level two. And then you get more responsibility. And I'm going to quiz you, Joseph, because now we're talking about leadership development. What is your responsibility when you delegate more responsibility?
I don't know.
You give them more money.
Mm, mhm.
Okay. So we need to look at money differently if we're going to be a leader. And your relationship with money is going to determine how far you go, right? If your relationship with money is, I'm going to hold this because I have a scarcity mindset. I don't know if I'm going to get more of it, right? Well, the beautiful thing about business is the more you give it up, the more you make, right? So in other words, that relationship that you have with money is going to determine your excitement to elevate the people in your organization, give them new roles, which means new responsibility, which means more money and actionable ways to attain more money, right? So for example, I have a project manager in my business right now. He started off as a helper with my father-in-law who does carpentry. That's where he started. And it was great because my father-in-law doesn't speak like perfect English. So he was there learning how to communicate with the customers and communicating with me. That was like something he did out of the gate just as an entry level employee. I saw how good he was at it. And then the next thing he turned into was a painter. I said, hey, join the painting crew. Then he winded up becoming, an apprentice, right? That's a good first level. You're an apprentice. You're learning the trade. You can't just come in and manage a team. Then he moved up to level two, which is someone that can cut, roll, and produce quality work. Doesn't really know how to spray very well, but is an apprentice in spraying. Hey, you learn how to spray, you learn how to communicate with customers, and you communicate well with us. Guess what you are now? A crew leader. right? And you're
Right.
growing that within. So there's 3 levels right there within that crew. Now you're a crew leader. What does the crew leader get paid? You need to establish this as a business owner. You need to establish what an apprentice gets paid. You need to establish what a level 2 gets paid, and you need to establish what a crew leader gets paid, right?
Mm,
You need
yeah.
to establish the roadmap of what achievement looks like within your business, right? And then guess what he is now? A project manager. And you need to establish the perks around project management. In my business, the perks are you get a salary, you get PTO, you get paid rain days, right? Like things, these little extras. You get a vehicle, you get gas every week. Like
Mm,
you get loaded up. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things that come with these roles that once someone achieves it, Joseph, the most important thing is everyone around them starts to see it. And it's like,
mm,
okay, there's this entity is inspiring now. So this has nothing to do with Tanner being inspiring. Tanner's just doing his job. Tanner's just facilitating the achievement. And that's what you need to do.
yeah.
You need to facilitate that. This is an entirely new concept for you as a first-time business owner, but this is how growth gets done.
Yeah. No, that's really good. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, any questions on that?
um, yeah, I guess one main question comes to mind, and it's maybe more of like the nuts and bolts of like how do you like delegate like who buys like obviously my project manager buys the paint and things like that, but like responsibilities, I guess. Like do I define that like an apprentice like is also defined by his responsibilities, crew lead is defined by his responsibilities, or is it more defined in the title?
Okay, so it really depends. Like, I think you got to also be good at identifying personalities, right? This can get
Yeah.
really deep. Like, for me, what I have learned is to understand like what their role is in the company. And for my guys, like, and this took a long time for me to like fully grasp, but like I just want them painting. And I actually learned that through growing DripJobs is I just want the developers coding. Like if they're doing anything outside of coding,
Mm,
then that's poor management on my part, right? If my developers are trying to figure out why something is being done, that means we didn't do a good job figuring out why when they receive the work order for coding something feature or something in DripJobs, it needs to already be thought of, right? In other
mm,
words, like take that to the painting business. My crew manager or crew leader should just be looking at a work order and know every single thing about what needs to be done. And that means also from a management side, the paint should be delivered ahead of time. The customer's questions should already be answered. Like there shouldn't be anything outside of the actual process for that individual crew leader. And if there is, then anything outside of that is the responsibility of the project manager. The project manager's job is to eliminate any questions from getting to you. And if there are questions that get to you, then at that point, that's what you coach on so you can eliminate that same question from coming up in the future.
right.
So if he goes, hey, this customer's really upset because the guys came in and they didn't wear booties on their shoes. Well, the first thing you need to do as a really good servant leader is first think back to where you messed up because everything is your fault. 100%. Did you have an SOP in place to ensure that booties are worn in the house? Number one. Number two, did you have a good assessment during the estimate to identify the customer had white carpets in the house? Right. Number three, has there ever been any conversations about this, or was there a situation in the past where this happened and you didn't implement some sort of policy around it? Number four, did you make the booties accessible if there was a situation, right? And number five, why does the project manager feel like he can't solve this problem? And you just need to keep deferring, 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 deferring. And that really can only happen when you have a solid project manager and a solid crew leader that you've known for a good amount of time, that these investments actually matter, right? In
Mm,
other words, the 2 project managers that I have been with me for years. So I'm giving them information and we're iterating on things because we've built such a relationship and they've done so many jobs for us that at this stage, my phone hasn't rang all day and it's 11 o'clock and we have 4 jobs going on, right? Situations are being handled, but it wasn't always like that. So you have to understand that it's constant coaching, constant coaching, constant coaching. But I do have meetings. We do sit down, we go over any problems that occurred, and then we outline what those responsibilities are or what I'm responsible for, right?
Yeah.
So the goal, I call it a game of keep away, right? So it's keep away. It's like, here, give them back the ball, give them back the ball, give them back the ball. Let them fail, let them make the mistakes, let them have the tough conversations with the customers, let them go through it, or else you have to do it. And if you don't teach them what you know as an owner, and you don't let them make the mistakes, dude, you could tell a kid, hey, don't touch the stove, don't touch the stove, don't touch stove, don't touch stove. It really won't solidify until they touch the stove.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. I think I've noticed in myself, just like me even jumping back in a little bit. Like this morning, I jumped back in to like solve a problem for my project manager, and it's like under his job description. And I was kind of feeling I that puts really good words on what I've been feeling a little bit. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So delegation is, dude, delegation is actually way deeper than giving someone a responsibility.
Hmm.
It's giving them, it's understanding that, number one, early on, like it will not be done to your standard. Okay, like that's important to know. And if you're actually, are you good at painting? Like, do you feel like you're good at it?
Um, I'm probably like 80%, but I'm
Okay.
not
So
on.
you're actually in a favorable position. You're kind of like me. Like I could cut like a nasty line, dude. Like I can paint. Like I really can, but it's not my passion. And it's
Yeah.
also something that I don't like doing. Like in other words, like I don't enjoy the process. Like I enjoy the experience that we give a customer more than I enjoy the actual art of painting. Like you're not going to see me film myself spray a door. Like it just won't happen. Like this is something I'm not that into, which is good because I can detach from that
Mhm.
and instead focus entirely on the experience of the customer, which I actually prefer to find people that are better at that than me.
Hmm.
And that's another art of delegation, is understanding clearly what your strengths are as a business owner and where your weaknesses are. And you want to hire for those weaknesses, and then of course, ultimately, that's how you build a really strong, a strong business. Here's a question for you. Do you have an office admin?
I don't.
Okay. So this is an interesting thing, and I'd like to know why. Like, what is stopping you? You're at a stage where you have, multiple jobs going on. You're probably getting a lot of leads. What
Mhm.
is the reason why?
Um, I guess I'm not getting quite as many leads. Like I don't really mind answering the phone since I'm the salesperson anyway.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so
Well, let me ask you this. Stop. So I'm going to ask you this. Do you plan on growing the business this year and next year?
100%.
Okay. So a really great concept for a strong leader is vision, right? Which I think you have. And it's digging your well before you're thirsty. And one of the big mistakes people make is making decisions too late because they feel like they're not ready, right? I guarantee you that you were faced with the decision to start your business, and there was this thought of, well, I don't think I'm ready yet. Like I don't know if I should quit my job, or I don't know if I should pivot into this industry, right? But you did it. You I don't know if you were pushed into it or you did it out of faith or whatever that is. The reality of the situation is you're going to need an admin, right? There's areas where you are lacking. Okay. Are you hanging up on people when you're in the middle of an estimate when you get a phone call?
Yeah.
Okay. So the reality, Joseph, is that there are areas, regardless of whether you're getting leads or not, that your business has holes in because you cannot be an office admin and also be an owner and also be an estimator and also be a delegator of production. It's just not possible. So if
Right.
you want to really learn delegation, you hire an office admin now. Okay. And again, what did I tell you about your relationship with money? One of the things that we think of is, how much is this going to cost me?
Mm,
Well, how much is it costing you to be hanging up on people? Let's think about that for a second, because people are going from business to business to business to business to business, and they're not loyal to perfect painting. If you get a phone call, you want to answer that call, dude,
right.
right? And if that
Absolutely.
costs you, if that's called customer insurance, and if that costs you $500 a week, that's an investment. That's again, the thought is, I could do it. You can, but are you doing it to the standard of where that department has intense focus? Right.
Mm,
In other words, right now, your painting department has intense focus. That means people wake up every morning and they align their efforts and their focus 100% on the art of painting. That's why you're having success in that area. There was a time period where you were doing it and you were maybe allocating maybe 40, 50% on the painting, and then the other 50% was on the business. Okay. You notice, hey, this isn't working. I'm getting stressed out. I'm answering the phone while I'm painting. The guys are looking at me like I'm crazy. The customer's getting frustrated. I need to make a change. Right? Yes?
Right.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes, yes. Got it. Okay. So, with that said, the administrative aspect is one of the only areas that actually grows your business, right? In other words, like that's where the sales happens. You have follow ups that need to be made today. You have leads that need to be called. You have calls that might come in right now during this business breakthrough that you can't answer, or you might say, Tanner, I need to take this. Okay. Right. You have things that you probably have to do that you put on the back burner. There might be touch ups that customers called about. There might be colors that need to be facilitated. There might be, what about all these things? Who's doing it? You?
Me and my color consultant. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, color consultant gets paid a fixed rate to go do colors, and then that's it. After that, she
Correct.
sends you the colors, and then she says, "Give me the next one." So, the office admin deals with that. Who pressure washes your houses?
My guys.
Your guys do. Okay.
Yep.
So scheduling the pressure wash is important, right? Calling the
Correct.
customer, hey, the guys are going to be there. So then you're doubling down on the experience because people are getting more communication, right?
Hmm.
This is the element of delegation, and I think should be your first entry point, because one of the things that we hold dearly as business owners is the communication between customers and the business, which is
Yeah.
very difficult to let go. But if you can master this through the teaching of a qualified applicant,
Hmm.
then you're going to be in good shape. You're going to be in real good shape. And this prepares you for the growth in 2025. You are still a startup. Everything you should do right now is to build up your roster, preparing for big growth in 2025. That's it. And you need to look at the sub crew as they are taking away jobs right now that a W2 crew could be using as training grounds.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. That's going to be a tough switch for you, but it's good that you're getting the practice of managing two jobs at once. But you will have to make a switch soon if you do want that double W2 crew cranking, and that requires delegation. That requires a crew leader coming in and learning the process of managing a crew. These are all things that you need to be thinking about, not answering the phone, dealing with follow ups, dealing with all this stuff. If it needs to get to you, then it will. They'll say, hey, well, we could talk about that another time. But that's something that I think is super underestimated. But I wouldn't run my business without an admin.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Sure, sure. Any questions on any of that?
No, not on any of that.
Soaking it up, man.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Notes and yeah.
Good, good.
So I guess I'd love to talk about sales because this has been on my mind for quite a while. Is just like kind of leveling up in sales and like so I've been really working on how I'm going to like position my offers to clients and like objection overcoming objections and those kinds of things. Um, like what would you have to say to like because there's tons of objections like people wanting to get 3 quotes, people
Yeah.
needing to talk about houses, like all these kinds of things.
Okay.
What is your advice on like leveling up to like the
Sure.
next level, being able to like
What kind of computer are you using?
using a Mac,
Why?
uh because they're the best.
They're the best, right? Did you question it when you were buying it?
No.
Because for years the brand has delivered, right?
Yeah.
The brand delivered for years, so it required less work on your part as a business. Well, in other words, as a buyer to decide whether or not to trust that the brand's going to deliver on the promise. Okay, just look around, create a great brand, do great work, come in with poise. You don't
Mm,
need to pressure people in making a decision. What you do need is to create a powerful buying experience, because most people won't know perfect painting until the moment they click the ad. So you need to hyper focus on building trust from that point forward. And that can be outlined in are you using DripJobs?
yeah.
Okay. So when you get that lead, the customer gets that communication right off the bat, right? From that point, what does the process look like, right? And I think the more you double down on that, the better. So it's not so much like when you get there, like battling objections. It's like, first of all, it starts with a powerful phone call that sets expectations. Like that's the first step, dude. And like again, this is where that admin comes in. Is like, how is that experience happening? Like when you get a brand new lead from Facebook, like what does that look like right now?
So they get a text, and then as soon as possibly possible, I call them.
Okay, which is not is sometimes because it's you, it could be
It
30
could,
minutes, an hour, 2
yeah,
hours, a week. Not a week, but you and
correct.
I both know if you get 3 leads right now, they're gonna have to wait.
Yes.
And dude, there's been scientific studies done by Harvard, look it up, that after 30 minutes, your chances of contacting a inquiry drops significantly, right? So obviously DripJobs is gonna help with that text and email, but we know not everybody acts on that right away, right? It requires human touch. Okay. Call the lead within a minute. And that's the responsibility. That's delegation. These are opportunities that you could be capitalizing on. This admin should be making you money. We look at it like this: budget 2,500 for the role for the month. That's one job that you could not be getting right now that an admin can help you with. So it starts with that. It starts with a powerful greeting. Hi, thank you for inquiring with our company. I'd love to hear a little bit about your project. What do you got going on? How can we help? How can we assist? Okay, great. That's a great idea. Do you have any inspiration on that? Okay, send over a picture. That's awesome. So you're going to be meeting with Joseph. He's our owner, setting the expectations, right?
Right.
Are both, or are there any other decision makers that are going to be present? Because generally, how we do this is we'd like to do a little presentation for you, and then we'll outline pricing. So we just want to make sure everyone's present, right? Okay, cool. When will that be? Oh, it'll be Wednesday. Let me look at the schedule. Wednesday. Da, da, da. Okay, awesome. So in other words, perception, perception, perception. Some people don't care about that, by the way, and that's okay. But the customers that are going to buy from you do. They want that experience because we can only build our business off of customers that appreciate that stuff. Otherwise, they don't value painting. It's like someone that's never got a tattoo and thinks that all tattoos are the same, right? But someone that's had a tattoo in the past that didn't work out well looks at a tattoo parlor differently, and they're going to hire based off of experience, quality, the whole thing, because they know that you get one shot to get your house painted. So we want to have a good experience doing that. So you can really utilize a lot of that time, the touch points. Then what have you edited your drip messages to go out yet?
No.
Okay, so this is important. So one of the things that happens is your customer comes in cold from Facebook. Okay, they go into the estimate requested stage. They get scheduled, right? They get that confirmation, right? Did you enable reminders on your account yet? Are they getting reminders?
Yes.
Good. So they're getting reminders. That's great. And then when they get to estimate scheduled, this is where you can write up a nice story about why you started the business, why you're the local hero, your brother working for you, your plans to impact. Like, you need to sell your story. That's the brand. It's the story. That's all it is. And then from there, by the time you get to the door, do you know how many people? And listen, this is funny because sometimes I'm calling customers, like if there's a big deal or something like that, and they're surprised to hear me on the phone and they say, I love your Facebook ads, right? Because they've seen my ads, they've seen my face, they know the brand, they know me, they've seen trust. They're like, okay, as long as this number isn't outrageous,
Hmm.
I'm gonna give them a chance, and I'm okay if it's higher than the competitors, because again, what you're selling is trust. Like, anyone can paint. The process is what's different. The people are what's different. The story is what's different, right? Okay, so we're going to use that to our advantage. Get that email written up. Tell your story in that email, right? I have 2 emails to go out. The first one is telling my story, telling about our company, putting our crew names in there. You can put a photo in there of who you guys are. And then the next one is what questions they should ask us, right? Again, using that as leverage. And then, of course, when you show up, we talk about sales and negotiations. So let's talk about that. I want to know a little bit about what happens when you show up at the door.
um, yeah. So I show up. I kind of just kind of set the framework, like what what do I say exactly? Introduce myself and ask them what they're hoping to get out of the our project walkthrough today, and then walk with them kind of through the house and talk about like any concerns, any issues, anything that like they're wanting, what their vision is, and trying to figure out exactly what they're seeing in their head.
It's too
Then
much, dude. You one of the, and you're off the cuff, so this might not be 100% accurate. But one of the things is like It's not about what they're looking to get out of the experience they have with you today. It's what you're looking to get out of the experience today. And that is a sale. You always go with that mindset, right? So when you go in with that mindset, you're building up as and it's okay to close as long as you earn it. And we're not going to be manipulative, we're not going to be pushy. But I think what really matters is first you understanding how you, because this is what you want. You want to close the job, but you also want to help them get to their goal. And if you don't know their goal right off the bat, and I can tell this because you didn't say, I know you listen to my podcast, you've probably heard me say this, but why are we doing this? Like that is your leverage, is the why. It's not the what. It's not what needs to be done. Like, okay, why are you doing it? So that should be your first question is, what's the story? Why am I here? Right? Have you asked that question? Do you ever ask that off the bat?
I've asked this like the story question. What's the story of the house? And like, what are you? Yeah, a couple of times.
Stay away from the what. If you find yourself with the what, obviously we know that there's things that need to be painted, but it's drill down on the why, because everyone can sell the what, dude. And the thing is that when I hear the why, it just opens up so many different avenues for me to use that are intrinsic to them. Does that make sense? Like, and I'm not big on this the whole sales. Like I did car sales, Joseph. I know that we don't want to come across a certain way, but give me an example of a why that you might have heard from someone, and we'll dive into that. Just give me an example.
Um, because they don't like the color.
You don't like the color. Okay. So I hate the color. I want to change it. Right. When you hear that, like what happens in your head? Like, what do you immediately, like, what are you thinking? Like when you hear that?
I hear like some pain, and I want to
Okay.
like bring out as much of that pain that they're feeling as possible.
Okay. I would think that what I was hoping to hear is that you want to provide as much value as
Mm,
possible. Okay, I don't want to bring out more pain. I don't want you to cry on me about the colors, right? I want to bring value to you, okay? And when I hear that, I say, listen, don't worry about the colors. One of the great things about our company is we have a decorator. Her name's Donna, and she'll come over and she'll help facilitate the colors for free. She'll offer some suggestions to you. So like because I asked the question, now I know where the pain is. Like, and that's like the biggest thing. It's like sometimes it's as simple as that.
yeah,
Sometimes it's different things. Like, we're moving out, we're moving in, right? Or I hate the way this looks, like, or we're getting a remodel done. Here's one, we're getting a roof, right? So if I don't know that ahead of time, I can't position my offer, Joseph, in a way that lets me paint before I have to wait for a roof. Like, here's an example. Like, if someone says, hey, I'm getting a roof, I say, oh, awesome. So most people think that they need to get the roof first before they can paint. But the good news is that we actually can do the painting, and then we can actually come back and touch up wherever the roof was installed, right? And this is actually really good because, and I'll be honest here, I really don't want to have to worry about protecting a new roof. You see how that switches the entire conversation to now we're in line, because now I can sell to you today. Like without the why, you might be going to that table, right, writing up your quote, and they're thinking, "Well, I can't buy anyway because I'm not getting the roof on yet. I'm just trying to get a quote."
yeah,
You see? You
yeah.
see
I
how
see.
that
Yeah,
it's all it is it's just alignment, right? I'm trying to clear the runway with I'm trying to get all that stuff out. There's a guy today who said he's getting windows. Well, I have to wait till the windows get installed, and they don't get installed for 3 months. I said, listen, just hold $300, and then once the windows are installed, we'll schedule Chris to come out and touch up around the windows wherever needed. And he was so happy. He's like, oh, you guys can do that? Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. That's awesome.
Does that give you some food for thought?
It does. Yeah, I think for sure. I think just like reframing the conversation is often just like super important, and that's really good. So
Reframing, it's like you got to understand that like everyone's different, so we're very hypothetic with these scenarios, but we run into the same scenarios most often. So I just think that, like, yes, like we could talk about handling objections and we could talk about all that, but objections come from somewhere. Like the objection you hear is a superficial objection. Price, need to think about it. Okay, generally speaking, when you hear need to think about it, it's because you don't understand the true why behind the the reason they're not moving forward, right? And I think if you got to that point, like maybe you just didn't do a good enough job of breaking down what it is that they need to think about. Like, in other words, like if someone says that to me, I'd say, okay, well, is color still a concern for you? bring it back out. Well, yeah. Well, let's talk about what that looks like. Have you seen the Sherwin-Williams color visualizer yet? Like, that's another angle we might go, right? Or are you worried about the roof? Yeah. Okay. Well, not a problem. Like, one of the cool things about what we do is, we schedule 6 to 8 weeks in advance. If you place a deposit, at least the good news is we can get that house painted right after the roof, and I won't charge you anything extra to prep and cover the new roof. We'll just do it. And of course, that's expected of us, but ultimately, it is a little extra time. I'm sure you can understand. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you have some leverage. Like, the reason it might be frustrating is because you just don't have leverage when you're getting the objections. You know what I'm saying? Now, we talked about thinking about objections. What about price objections? That's the hardest one. How do you normally overcome those?
So if someone's like, it's a little too much, it's more than I thought, I'm like, all right, like what were you thinking? Like what was the price in your mind? If you had some paint, I think I've heard you say this. Like, if you had some painting done before, like what was the expectation? And then they'll outline like, oh, I thought it was gonna be $2,000 less. It's like, okay, um, am I the first quote? Like, if you've gotten any other quotes, it's like, no,
Usually
you're
you're
the
the first,
quote.
I'm sure.
Always the first, yeah.
Always the first.
And then they say probably get some other quotes, and I'm like, okay, like, and then I kind of just like rehash like our materials and our labor and like the things
Yeah.
that we offer,
It's
and it
yeah,
doesn't.
that's all you can do, right? So again, I want you to remember this for the rest of your life. Value based selling. Everything's surrounded by value, right? Money follows value. There's two types of people, okay? Two types of objections, right? You have transactional objections and you have emotional objections. That's it. This is the beauty of this, is that if you know who you're working with, you can provide value in a way that uniquely aligns with them. It's just a very simple equation. So when you hear money, you need to match money with money, brother. Does that make sense? So the idea, though, the idea was that,
You said remember this for the rest of your life. Match money with money.
and then it just shut off.
Shut off.
Ah, that's meant to be, dude. And that's, see, the thing is that when you know what their, like, where their thought process is behind objection, it's like you have somebody that's like, well, the price. Okay. Well, how can you match money with money, right? Well, you have two options. The first option is lower your price, right? Simple. Like, you want more business, just lower the price. Like, it's it. It's like the easiest equation in the history of mankind. And sometimes you use price as a leverage, right? The first leverage is using it to fill your schedule so your guys don't quit. That can happen, right? If you don't have any work, then they're going to go somewhere else. So you, as a business owner, you've got to look at it like, okay, well, if I don't have work, I have to sell jobs to keep the team busy. So if I have to, I will lower my price to whatever's break even, and then I'll keep the guys busy, right? Well, the second way you can do it is to add value for the same price. Okay.
Mm,
That's how you do it. So, in other words, instead of taking off $1,000, right? What can you think of ahead of time that you can use as leverage, right? So, here's an easy example. If I go up to a house and I know the roof just looks terrible, right? It's just like it needs a cleaning, like bad, right? Well, I have a relationship with a subcontractor cleaning roof cleaning company, right? And I know for a fact that he's given me pricing ahead of time, 2,000 square foot house, 25 cents a square foot, $500 to clean that whole roof. I could probably negotiate with him and get it for 400, right? But the customer doesn't know that, because it's not just $400. I have the relationship with the subcontractor. I will take the responsibility for it. I've done the work of building trust. If he tries to do it himself, the risk is high. Number one, he has to find the pressure washer or the cleaning company to do it. Then he's got to worry about negotiating price, when I can bundle all that up into my estimate and say, hey, listen, generally speaking, I never do this, but I really want this job, and I know that price is a concern for you, and I'm wondering if I can offer you some value in exchange to see if we can move forward today. Are you open to hearing that? Right? This is framing, right? In other words, you don't just say, well, what if I do that? Like, you have to kind of like, dude, you have to get people back to center. Like, you can't be like that. Some people don't have that skill, and that's a sales skill. It's like, okay, hear me out. This is what I'd like to do for you. I looked at your roof, and you could paint this house however you want, but that roof will stand out because I don't think it's been cleaned for a long time. And they might laugh, say, listen, I have a relationship with our pressure washing subcontractor. He could do a soft wash on that roof. And I'll tell you what, I don't know what the price is nowadays. Generally speaking, is probably anywhere between so and so. But for you, I'll include a soft wash on the roof for free. So this house looks brand new when we're done. They can come up with whatever number they think that's going to be. And you got to realize time is money. So whatever time it would require them to pursue that endeavor also costs money. So you're looking at value now instead of just money. And it's like it's your job as an estimator. Look around, dude. Like if you see a fence that just is looking terrible, or even on the inside, you see drywall work that needs to be done, or wallpaper that needs to be removed, or things that are accessory items that you know you can use as leverage, that's a way that you can match money with money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got these are just tools. Like, and at the end of the day, dude, we're not going to shove it down people's throat, but we can get creative in a way that's honorable and it also is mutually, there's mutual benefit. It's like, okay, I'm taking a little bit off, but I'm not like losing my shirt, and I'm also giving you more value, which makes me, hopefully, in your eyes, a better choice.
Right.
Because what are they going to do to the next guy? Oh, well, we want our roof cleaned. He's gonna freeze, and say, and you might even say, look, this offer's good. I understand you might need to think about it, but I'll tell you what, I don't usually do this. So in order for me to honor that, put time on it. Then
Mm.
say
Urgency.
urgency. Listen, I'll honor this if you call me by tomorrow and you place your deposit. And that's fair. You're giving it away. It's like, come on. Like, obviously, they need to understand, like, the goal of me doing that was to earn your business. So you have every right to put time on something. But you don't have a right to use urgency for no freaking reason. Like, you can't just give someone a price and say, well, I'll honor that price as long as you call me tomorrow. You sound stupid. Right. But if you give some value on top of that price, now you can use the value as urgency. You can put urgency, which is another lever of
Yeah.
human
Could
motivation.
if I can ask you a question about that, can you create scarcity to sort of like say like we're only taking two more jobs the rest of this year? So
Okay, you can, but you can only use scarcity when you're using their motivations as leverage, right? So in other words, like scarcity is mostly based off of time, not lack of resources. In other words, you're not going to say, well, we're running out of paint. So if you want this done, like,
right.
we won't have paint for you. No one's going to have paint. So you should probably hire us. We
Well,
get into the sales. Huh?
like, but about labor though, like we can only take two more jobs the rest
Right.
of
Well, you got to make sure that they care about that. They might not be in a rush. They might not, you can't. So that's where the why comes in at is it's actually I would say it's kind of it makes you sound silly if like you don't know that time matters to them and then you offer scarcity. Like they'll be
right.
like, all right, I don't care. Like if you came here and gave me an estimate for my house exterior and you said that to me, I'd be like, yeah, dude, I mean, we can wait till next year. We're not that big of a rush. Like, and you would lose. You have one shot. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like, you got one shot. So you
Yeah.
can't, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't really use that unless you know for a fact that scarcity matters. I have an example. I had a lady that it was like a $22,000 paint job. She had this big Halloween party that like was really important to her. Like she does like the whole block comes over. It's like she's like the house on the hill, whole block. And she reached out to us. I think it was the end of September. And when I gave her the quote, she was kind of being lax about it, right? Like, oh yeah. I said, listen, you told me you have this big Halloween party. If I don't get an answer from you today, there's no way I can get your house done before that party. Just letting you know. Like you can find someone else. I totally understand. And if it's not important to you, but you said it was, you said that this was the party. You wanted it clean for the party. You want everyone to see how beautiful your house looks. Well, we gotta get a decision today. And she hired us because I used her reasons as leverage for the scarcity, not my own. Right?
Mm.
You were using your own reasons. You were saying, well, we're not taking any jobs. Like, okay, like I'll find somebody else, you know? So it's value-based selling, man. And it starts with why, but it's also like, again, and the reason I started this conversation earlier with you going in with the mindset, like you're like, well, what are you trying to get out of this experience today? And it's like, no, like it's your job to make it to where you get a sale out of that experience. And how you do that is your mind should be uncovering ways to provide value. The why question is just to provide value. This is value-based selling. It's like, I'm just going to stack the deck. And it's the same reason why you bought your MacBook is because you realize that the money that you pay is going to go further with Mac than it is an alternative. Whatever your beliefs are about that. There might be someone that likes the Windows computer and has different beliefs. They feel like the value's there for them in exchange. So
Right.
that's how business is done.
Yeah. That's super good. That's super good.
So it's deep, man. It's good topic. I hope you got something out of this.
Did.
Um,
Yeah. Thanks so much for your time, Tanner. I really appreciate
of
it.
course, bro. Of course. Let's get that admin. Let's define those roles, right? Let's start thinking about ways that we can add value to our customers in their unique situations and only use those motivation levers like scarcity, right? Value propositions, time, only to the individuals where those things actually matter. Okay. And it's important for you to know that. Okay.
Sounds great. Sounds great.
Match money with money, my friend. Take care.
All right. Hey, you have a good day.